Hello, everyone. Let me greet you here at the Global Empowerment Summit again. And I have a very special guest. I would say my soulmate from Australia is here in the studio. And I'm so happy to have her here because, you know, I will not say a secret or tell a secret if I say that we are both dancers inside out. And I'm so happy to greet you here. Michelle, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Andrea, and all the better for seeing you and talking to you today.
Yes, it's so nice to have you here. And that people don't know, but this is exactly a dance studio where Michelle is just standing here now. And I'm so happy to have a very specific, special interview with her from this very nice place. So, Michelle, no one knows you yet, although you had one little workshop with Elan before. But I would love to get to know you better, and I think the audience too. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who is Michelle? Where are you from? What's your favorite thing to do when you are when you just search for some relaxation? Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Well, my name is Michelle Ripper. I was born in the UK in northwest London of French and Jamaican parents. So my father was Jamaican and my mother French. We grew up with both cultures in our life, and I can speak French. And every summer we'd go over and visit France. I didn't visit Jamaica until about 5 years ago. It was the first time I went to Jamaica, so that was wonderful. I grew up and migrated to Australia, working, traveling right across Europe and Asia and through the Middle East and through Asia. So we took a year to get here and landed in Darwin and then worked our way down to Melbourne, where I stayed for a long while. From being a secretary, somebody asked me to be a model because there weren't a lot of black people in Melbourne at that time. I was just on the edge, just after the white Australia policy. So there was quite a thing for me to come into Australia. And so there weren't that many black people, which is so different now. It's fantastic. It's so many nationalities here in Australia now. And so I met a stylist and I thought, oh, I could do that with my French background and all that sort of thing. So I became a stylist, an art director, choreographed fashion parades, and then went on a trail ride up in the high country of Gippsland in Australia, in Southeast Australia, and met my husband, who was a farmer, and we both love horses and fell in love. So I moved to the country, and that's where I live now in Gippsland, and had one of my dreams, so many dreams I've fulfilled since meeting my husband. So I moved to the country, which I always wanted to do as a child. I've always loved a real girl, horses and ballet, you know, that's me. And they've been my two passions. And so I was given a horse as a birthday present from my husband. And then when I had children, another random thing happened and I was asked to take over a dance studio. And I was 47. And whilst I'd been doing it as a hobby on a Saturday in Melbourne, it was now like, sure, I'll do that. I'll take over a dance studio. And a friend of mine said, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And they said, keep a page ahead of them, which I think is great advice in any term when you decide to change your life. Keep a page ahead of them. So I did, and gradually did all my training and ballet and in jazz, contemporary dance, tap and hip hop. And I learned to dance on point at 50. And that was quite an achievement. And then 20 years in that, I was invited over to go to dance in America. And that's when I visited the birthplace of my father, which was very emotional. And then when I came back, I decided I'd been studying as a coach. And I thought this was my next iteration of my life. And so I've studied as a coach for the last 5 years, and I'm now in the probably 2 years into being a coach. So as a business coach and mentor, and helping people create wonderful lives for themselves. So there's my story in a nutshell. I hope it wasn't too long.
No, it was perfect. Thank you very much. It was really nice to hear a little bit about you, and I love the things that you put together. And it's kind of like for me a life that is that's so beautifully put together by the different things happen to you, and you just went with the flow. And I can see already the dancing parallel here. So just going with the flow and getting what life is bringing to us, and then accommodating and making the most out of it. Very, very beautiful story. So it's really
Absolutely.
it's really inspiring. So today you chose a topic which is also very inspiring. I love it. It's cool belongs to young and old. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about the topic. Why did you choose this, and why do you think it's so important to stay cool?
Right. Okay. Well, for me, I chose the topic because I've been teaching young people and I've been teaching old people in dance. Um, I remember when I was a child growing up, my mother was, who was French, was very stylish. And so even with her I think three or four children, she had the Vidal Sassoon haircuts and the leather pencil slim skirt and the fantastic snappy shoes. And she always looked just beautiful, you know. And I remember seeing some young people that I remember not about 2 years before had gone to school, you know, and they were in those days, you were a teenager, you were into rock and roll and teddy boys and Drake coats and things like that. And 2 years of teenagehood, then there were these old people in beige macs with terrible posture, and they just aged so much. And I just thought, I don't know what I'm going to do here, because I was about 10 observing this and thinking, oh my God, I hope something really drastic happens in life, because I certainly cannot go down this road of just settling for the suburbs, suburban life, you know, working 9 to 5 and the drudgery. I just couldn't do it. So I was in a bit of in a despair, just wondering what I was going to do. And then luckily the 60s came along with Jimi Hendrix and all sorts of music, you know, Atlantic records and black soul music. And it was just like, oh my God, thank God, great fashion, bohemian life, you know, breaking all the rules, protesting against Vietnam War. And it was just great, like, yes, I'm a child of my age, you know. And I've just always felt that I always wanted to be young and vital and taking in new ideas. My parents were always studying. My father, when he died, he got a degree at 82. My mum, when she died, unfortunately she passed away at 53, but she was doing a degree in humanities when she passed. So we've always been, we were brought up to be young and vital and interested in politics and ideas. So that's why I chose it, because it's just been lovely working with young people and old people and sharing information. It's been great. Yeah.
And why do you think it's so important to do that, to integrate the different generations and to keep this? Because I believe we are like, I mean, I don't even know where to put myself because I am from 82. So some people say it's a millennial, some people would say it's an X, I think. So we don't really know whether it's we are the responsible ones who have to keep the old traditions and bring those values that are still were still existing when we were children, or we just let it go and we just let everyone just go for the new. What is your perspective on this?
Well, that's a great question to ask, because there's some things I love about the old ways, and there's lots of things I love about the new ways. And I think we can learn from the past. I mean, I used to love talking to my dad about his way of life. And I think cool people, people who've got an open mind and are interested in ideas, the good ideas survive all the way through, no matter what generation, and even some of my friends now say, well, as my dad used to say, and they go, oh, what did he say? What did he say? So I pass on, and I think about what my parents said to me, and those beautiful traditions of beautiful food and family, and yes, so not probably like the royalty, those sort of things aren't really my kind of thing, but those wonderful values that can be passed down the line from generation to generation. And I've often thought with this generation, I love this generation. A lot of people sort of complain about millennials or whatever, but my children are I think they're Y generation, I think. But they've got some great ideas, and they pull me up, when I come up with something that's a bit sort of old hat, so they keep me fresh. They keep me going, oh, so that's where the thinking's going now, However, I think from my generation, I'm a post-war baby boomer. I was born in 51. That was a whole new tradition as well, a new wave of prosperity after the war and new ways of thinking again. We are so numerous. I reckon if we can combine with the next generation and add our voice and our numbers to their cause of climate change, of looking at life and how to treat people differently, and equality and those sort of things, these ideas can be pushed forward, because more and more people want the change, as opposed to standing back and going, oh, these young people, they don't know what they're doing, my day. So to join with the forces of those young people and carry some great ideas forward. Yeah. Have you frozen?
Yes, I'm here. I just had to refresh my internet. You said you had internet problems, then I have some.
Technology is great when it works.
No problem. It's here. So Gladys is saying age is just a number as long as we remain young at heart and can connect to the people around us. So that's totally true. We are all talking about this throughout these sessions and throughout the intergenerational week. Whole week we were talking about how beautiful it is when we take all the generations, we take everything what they do, all the super skills from all generations, and they can work together and complete each other. Right?
Absolutely, yes.
So when you meet with young people and you are coaching young people, what are the challenges that they are facing? And then we will go to the elder generation. But what are the generations that young people are facing nowadays?
I think the peer pressure from social media and what they should look like and how they should behave, and what they need to have, and that constant comparison. And I love that. There's one of my favorite sayings is, comparison is the thief of joy. And so they grow up not realizing how wonderful they are in their own skin, and just how clever they are, and start trying to emulate other people, you know, who has done plastic surgery, have enlarged this and reduced that, and I just think that's a big pressure that we didn't have. We didn't have as much. Although then there was Twiggy that came in, you know, all of a sudden hip bones in your bikini look so cool, as opposed to the more rotund maternal shape that had happened before, you know. So, yeah, I think social media is pushing all those pressures even more and more, plus marketing to what you should be. And then, of course, there's that old style of parenting, I think, as well. I used to do some programs called I'm Brilliant, and I worked with young children between 8 and 12, and using performing arts to help them come out of themselves. And it wasn't for academic kids, but for kids who was very bright and clever anyway and think differently. And they were a bit of a square peg in a round hole at school or in their families. And it was just wonderful seeing the potential and how they started thinking and then tapping into their own brilliance. You know, it was so exciting to see after 4 days just the transformation of a child that thought they had to, you know, maybe, I mean, all from the heart of how the parents think they should bring up their children, all from the school that thinks this is the way to think. You know, you're being squeezed into these preformed channels, but to have the freedom and for them to have to think really divergently and inductively, it was just great to see them grow and bring their own personalities out and realise that they were very, very clever and that they were complete in themselves. There was nothing wrong with them, you know. So that's what I love about that, working with different people, with young people. Yeah,
I love it. I
teenagers
love
as
it.
well.
Must have been a very beautiful experience by doing this, and the change is amazing when you see the people that they are changing in front of you, and just when they are experimenting, and it's not
Yes.
really about totally finishing up the change, it's just giving them the trigger to think differently, right?
Just giving them the permission, you know. And it was incredible. I remember talking to a father, and he said, you know, we wanted his little boy had what is it, you know, like a squint, a constant sort of tick and a stutter. And he couldn't believe it when he came out that the tick and the stutter had almost gone. And he said it was fantastic. You know, you want your child to come out of themselves, and then you realize when they come back into the home that it's actually not the child's thing that's going on, it's actually the parents, the parental thing that has kind of kept this child in a box, you know. So when they actually see their child let out of the box and go, whoa, you know, all of a sudden he can't stop talking and he's got ideas and he's laughing and he's a bit loud and excited, you know, it's sort of like, ooh. It can be a bit of a shock. I love it, of course.
I can see. I mean, look at it. Like the audience can also see your passion about it, and it's really nice to see how you are approaching these things. So it's very important to be able to provide an environment, right, for the kids and even for elderly, even for adults and different
Yeah.
generations, to just let them to make experiments and let them be themselves, and let them go out of the box if they want, and don't
Yes.
put the labels there, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I remember another one where I worked with some school children, and two children in particular I remember. One what had a bit of ADHD about her, and they all had to work in a group, you know. And I said, so come into the group, you know. And she goes, no, you know, like this. And the group said no, because we'd worked on all this inclusivity and things. And they said, come into the group. No, you know. And I said, you do realize you're making this choice not come into the group. You are excluding yourself from the group, you know. They want you to come into the group and want you to be accepted in the group and included in the group, you know. So why don't you give it a go, you know? So in she went, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness. And then another child, you know, went the no. And she goes, you do realize you're making your own choices about this. And so, you know, so it just sort of fired down the line. It was just so wonderful to watch, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, if you want to summarize what we talked about the importance of making people be free and let them
Yeah,
go with the flow, what
yeah.
would be your advice to the people, young and old? How could they be more free, more in the flow, more following their intuition, more
Mm.
just saying no to things that are far, far away from them, just to say yes to people? What would be your advice, and maybe even some steps that the people can follow to change it up?
Yes, sure, sure. Well, I think you have to be true to yourself in the end, you know. There's always been this inner voice in me that doesn't really like conforming. That might be because I was brought up by two non-conforming parents, you know, and so we were told, you know, I mean, the French is like the boof, you know, the boof. They don't give a damn, you know. And my father used to say, my father used to say, you know, you've just got to follow your own track, you know, and no matter what stops you, people try to stop you doing, you can burrow underneath, you can go over the top, you can go around the sides. You cannot stop a person. Even a blade of grass can push through, break through concrete. So that's how we were brought up, and to just really follow our dream and to live international lives. And so we never thought of barriers around us, but we could see the barriers people tried to put around us. But luckily, because we had these two very strong parents who supported us going forward, we were able to be our own selves. So I think that's the first thing, and it's sometimes the portal opens in life. You know, you think, oh, there's the portal. Like for instance, Andrea, this is a portal, you know, for me to open up, because I would love to become an international speaker. Um, and Aileen saw it, and then she said, why don't you have a go? And I said, oh, all right, you know, and all of a sudden this door opens in of opportunity opens in your life, and you just, you know, you just duck through. And because the portals, sometimes they can close again, you know, and that was your chance. So is to be able to recognize the opportunity and duck through that portal and go for it and take the chance. Because if you know in your heart this is part of you, everything else will fall into place, believe it or not. Yeah. So that's just the steps to recognizing the opportunity and knowing that that's what you want and sticking to your guns. I think for me, it's not actually what I did, it's how I wanted to feel that actually drove my thing, my decisions. Is I wanted to feel free. I wanted to have fun. I didn't want to be conformist. I wanted to try new things. I wanted to experience different experiences. So I wanted to live in a nice lifestyle. I wanted to live with beautiful horizons. So they were the things that actually drove me, and how I got there was really immaterial. And I remember going back to England when my father was dying, and my sister still lives in the house that we grew up in. And I remember laying back in the small, reasonably small, I mean, compared to where we live now, it's tiny, but a backyard in London. And I used to look up at the sky when I was a child, because I really didn't like looking at houses and fences around me. And I remember saying, I don't want to live, you know, with houses and fences around me. That was when I was really small, 3 or 4. So I don't know where that came from. But there I was, you know, all these years later, back in the same backyard, looking up at the sky again and thinking, wow, I've achieved my dreams, But who would have written that story? It's far better than any story I would have written, you know. I would never have written, imagine how I achieved my dreams. I became a dancer. It wasn't when I was 18, but it was when I was 47. I live in the country with with beautiful horizons and landscapes around me. You know, I have a horse and beautiful children and a lovely husband. And yeah, now I'm living my dream with coaching and inspiring people, which is what I always want to do, to try and elevate the world. So, but who would have written that story, how I got here and how it all happened? I don't. I wouldn't have even contemplated how it's all happened. So I think it's how you want to feel and how you want to be more than what you do that drives you forward. Yeah.
It created another question in my head because I'm really, really similar than you. And I had this kind of like a debate with my previous dance partner who told me that you cannot dance with too much of a feelings, and you cannot dance with uncontrolled feelings, because once you start to put your emotions into it, you cannot control your steps, and you become someone who cannot be controlled by your partner. So you cannot do the things as a leader, because the follower starts to implement things and too much into the emotions. And it's kind of like a really interesting stuff that you started with the feelings in your
Yes.
life, following the feelings, and those feelings led you to the final purpose and everything what you did.
Yes.
Well, there was a lot of people say that emotions, EQ is just reactions, it's just something that you have to push because it's just ruining your life. And then how is it in your insights from your perspective? Do you agree with this, or do you think there is a balance, or how did you manage?
Yeah. That's a great question. That is a great question. Um, Look, when I was younger, it would have been pure feeling, you know. I'm going to go with this, you know, a chance. I'm going to take the chance, you know, and have a go. Give it a go. Give it a red hot go. And as I've become older and wiser, I think, as you say, Andrew, it's a balance, you know, of knowing your feelings and being true to you, but however, having strategy in there as well. So, knowing, and what I mean by strategy is, are those people good to be around? No, you know, out. You become far, well, I have anyway, become far more discerning, and I actually call it a portfolio life. That you start rather than things coming into your life, you start picking and choosing what comes into your life. Yes, so your life becomes more of a portfolio. That you're looking at I know with food and everything, you know, you're looking at the banquet of life, and you're going, I'm not going to have it all. I'm going to take that. I'm going to have a bit of that and a bit of that. So discernment, I think, is really, really important, you know. And going back to your allegory of dancing and doing the tango, especially, I remember doing some Latin dancing with a ballroom dancer here. And we were dancing away and we were performing. And at the end, he said, "You led perfectly." So now in Latin, you know, it's the man that leads, you know. And so you need that's right, isn't it, Andrea? It's the man that leads and directs the play, you know. And being a dancer, it was sort of, and a choreographer, you know, like I kind of. But then, having said that, I then allowed him to dance, to take the play. And it was a totally different thing. And I remember with a friend of mine, she wanted to know about dancing. I said, you could see this couple, and that she was fighting. She was a dancer. This is when I was in America, and she was dancing. And this poor man, you know, she was always kind of trying to take the lead because she's a choreographer as well. And I said, you need to stop, you know, stop fighting and give in. And anyway, so she wanted to know what that meant, and I showed her. And it's such a different energy of allowing. But then within that, there's the tension that comes from that, you know. And so what I think, especially with Latin dancing, I say the man is the artist and you are his painting. And so again, there's that feeling in you, but then it's having that empathy as well with your partner as well, you know. And so I think in life, it is, yes, you've got you are living your life, but then there are these forces that are actually directing you, and to listen to those directions, you know, and to go forward with that. So does that make sense?
Oh, perfect sense. I mean, I could talk about this for more hours and hours. I don't know whether the audience wants to hear it, but this is my topic. I just love it, to put things in perspective and to change it up with a little bit of feelings and dancing and everything behind it and relate it to real life. But I really loved your approach of the portfolio life. It's kind of like the photographers when they create the mood board, right? That this is the mood board that I want to have for my life. So I want this color, that color, this style, and I want this kind of people around me. This is my purpose, alignment, mission. That actually is what is coaching about, to find your values, your purpose, your mission, and improve your skills. And then you have this mood board or portfolio and you take care of it throughout your life. Really love this analogy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I think it was a beautiful little taster about who you are and what you do and what you are about. And if the people would like to reach out to you, Anis was saying, great advice, love your energy. Simpung is giving a weather forecast. Victoria, big storm and strong winds in many parts of Victoria. Thank you, Simpung, for that.
Thank
And
you.
then, Gladys already told that he was talking about age is just a number. So we have a full circle here. If you would like to reach out to Michelle, you see the name here. Just follow Michelle on LinkedIn and reach out to her and write that you are from GES, and she will get in touch with you. So thank you very much, Michelle. Any messages at the end of the interview?
Just be true to you and follow your heart. You know, life is great. You are gorgeous and beautiful, and all that you are is within you. So just listen to you and trust in yourself.
Loving the message and lovely to see you. And we catch up very, very soon. Keep in touch. And thank you very much for being here.
We've got a dance date, remember?
Oh, yes, we will do that. I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
everybody. Thank you. Lots of love.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.